A good Erev Shabbos, everybody. In Parshas Vayeira, we have Avraham traveling to the land of the Plishtim, to Gror, and there his wife, Sarah, although she was already at an age of 89 years old, Hashem had transformed her and she was youthful and beautiful. And she was taken to be the bride of the king, who is Avimelech. And Avimelech takes her, and Avimelech is then afflicted by God, in which he is not able to lay a finger upon her. He has a dream, and the Almighty says that she is a married woman. Return her unto her husband, who is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and your afflictions will be healed. Upon awakening in the morning, Avimelech conveys this dream and communication to his servants and to his trusted counsel. He calls upon Avraham and says, Avraham, why did you say that she was your sister? Why did you bring such a transgression upon us? And then he says to Avraham, what did you see that you would do such a thing? Avraham states that the awe of God is not found here. And I was concerned that if I had said she was my wife, they would kill me and they would take her. And Avimelech says to Avraham, after he gives him sheep and cattle, and he returns Sarah, and he says to Avraham, my land is here before you. Wherever you desire, please dwell. Stay here with us. And to Sarah, he gives gifts. Avraham prays on behalf of Avimelech. Avimelech is cured. In addition, Sarah then is blessed, and she is able to conceive, and she has a baby, and Avraham names the child Yitzchak. And it says, Vayigdal hayeled vayigomal. And the child grows, and he was weaned. Vayas Avraham mishte godol b'yom higomel es Yitzchak. And Avraham makes a great feast on this day of celebration for Yitzchak. What kind of a great feast is the Torah telling us that Avraham made? Does it mean he had a lot of flowers? He had a 10-piece band? He brought in somebody to sing? What does it mean that Avraham had a great feast? To a tzaddik like Avraham, are we talking about food? We're talking about flowers? We're talking about a photographer? So Rashi tells us, what does it mean that there was a great feast? It means that there were great people at this feast. Who was there? The great outstanding people of the generation were there. Who? Shem ve'Ever. Shem, the son of Noach, the holy righteous Shem, who was still alive at the time. And Ever, a great-great-great-grandson of Shem, an ancestor of Avraham, Shem and Ever, who were famous for teaching about God, spreading the knowledge of God. They were invited, they came. And then Rashi says, who else? What other great Godel Ador was there, outstanding leader of the generation? Avimelech. Avimelech, the king of the Plishtim. He was there. I can understand if Avraham extends an invitation to Avimelech because it's the diplomatic thing to do. He's the king of the land in which you reside. But Rashi tells us that these were the Gedolei Ador, outstanding men. He's equating Avimelech to that of Shem and Ever, holy, righteous people. Where do we see that Avimelech was so righteous? This is Avimelech that when he heard that Sarah was a single woman, or she was a sister to Avram, he took her against her will, exercising a kingly right that he had. Does this mean that he was so righteous that even if Sarah protested and said, no, I am married, my husband's not here, and he paid no attention, we say that he's such a righteous man? Later we find that Avimelech comes to establish a covenant with Avraham. And he says, Abraham, I have seen that God is with you in everything you do. Let us take an oath that we will not harm each other and we will do only kindness to each other. An oath between us, our children, and our grandchildren. Abraham says, I will agree to the oath. However, Abraham first rebuked Avimelech. And he said, I cannot enter an oath until I know that you are truly honest. Avimelech said, of course I'm honest. Abraham said, some of your servants have stolen a well that I dug and I revealed. Avimelech said, I knew nothing about this. You didn't tell me. No one informed me. Abraham proved the well was his, even though the servants of Avimelech contested Abraham. Whoever stands by the well and the water will rise to greet him, that is a proof that he is the master of this well. The water rose to greet Abraham. And then it says, Vayichrisu shnehem bris. And the two of them, Avimelech and Abraham, entered into a covenant of peace. And we find a similar thing in Parshas Toldos. Yitzchak, Abraham's son, was living also in Gerar, and he had dug many wells, and they were claimed by the servants of Avimelech. Possessing water, the rights to water, is something of great significance. And Yitzchak left. Avimelech comes to greet Yitzchak, and he wants to renew the covenant. And Yitzchak says, why have you come? You want to renew a covenant? What have you come? You hate me. You were envious of me. I was driven out. And here too, he rebukes Avimelech. Avimelech accepts the rebuke, and it says that they establish a covenant, and he leaves in peace. The Vilna Gaon says, where do you see people who are engaged in contentious rebuke, that they leave as such friends and a covenant, and there's peace and there's harmony? Usually when there's rebuke, there are ill feelings. How do we understand and comprehend this? I would like to suggest that although Avimelech might not have been such a righteous man, we find that whereas Paro, who took Sarah, and Paro too was compelled by God and plagues to return her, Paro says to Avram, here is your wife, kach v'lech, take her and go. Don't stay here. The people here in Egypt, they are of a very, very low caliber, and I can't guarantee your safety, even though he was the Pharaoh. Go. Avimelech says, Hine artzi, my land is before you. Stay wherever you want. Avimelech might not have been the most righteous individual, but when Avimelech saw a man of God, he saw Abraham, he saw Sarah, he saw divine intervention. He saw how God was bringing plagues. He saw that Abraham was a prophet who prayed for him and he was immediately cured. When he saw this holy, righteous individual, Avimelech said, stay. I want to learn from you. I want you to be my mentor. I want you to guide me. I want you to open my mind, expand my horizons, give me a grasp of this spirituality. This was Avimelech. And therein lies greatness. In addition, when Avimelech came and Avimelech wanted to establish a covenant, Abraham rebuked him. Avimelech did not respond with anger, but Avimelech accepted the rebuke. Avimelech said, fine, I accept it. You are correct. I will deal with it. And he repeated the same thing with Yitzchak, because Avimelech, when he saw spiritual greatness, this is something that he desired, something that he wished to attain, something he wanted to pursue. And therein lies the greatness. Where did he all of a sudden become a gadol from the great individuals of the generation, equated to Shem and Ever? Because he was reflecting what we say in our davening in the morning from King David. Yismach leiv mevakshe Hashem. Happy is that heart that seeks Hashem. Not happy is one who knows Hashem, who is learned, but one who is a seeker. One who says there is something here that I desire and I wish to attain, and I want to learn. And if it means I must humble myself to someone who is far greater and holier, I will do so. Please stay with us, Avraham. Not like Paro, leave. You're interfering. You're crowding my lifestyle. This is not my way of life to have an Avraham here. Avimelech said, no, stay. Stay and guide us. What did you see? Tell me what you saw. Where is our fallacy? Be our teacher. This is the greatness of Avimelech. He demonstrated a greatness in that he was now a mevakesh Hashem, seeking out knowledge of God. And even when he is rebuked, he responds affirmatively. The Vilna Gaon says, when people sincerely rebuke each other, there shouldn't be any enmity. There shouldn't be any reason for ill feelings. Because if a person really cares about another, they'll want to see that they can achieve all that they're capable of. He says, who rebukes someone? Who is the greatest critic of a person? A parent. Because a parent lives for their children. They breathe for their children. They want the best for their children. If they see their children going astray or making a mistake, they'll point it out. True rebuke and criticism should be an expression of devotion and love. That's what Avimelech, he listened to Avraham, and he recognized from Avraham that these words of rebuke, they emanate from the purity of his soul and the love for humanity. And he saw the same in Yitzchak. And only a person who has achieved an element of greatness, who is seeking God and the truth, that person can appreciate. Why is it then today, even with parents, we criticize our children, we try to tell them, don't do this, this is not right, this is what you should do. Why is it that we see that the children sometimes rebel, or they're not receptive, they turn off? True haichacha, true rebuke has to be presented with love. Avimelech saw there was no anger in Avraham. There was no anger in Yitzchak. And if Avimelech didn't come to them, they wouldn't have said anything. But if you're coming and you want to establish a covenant, I must point this out. He saw that it was coming from love. Our children need to hear from their parents. Not that we're frustrated and we've reached the end of our rope and we're angry, even if we have very good reason to be angry. It will not be effective, the words of guidance that we wish to present, because our children will not sense the love. They'll hear the criticism, they'll hear the rebuke, they'll hear that they're being yelled at, and they won't take to heart. They'll reject the words. Their minds won't receive it. It's not what we say as much as how we say it. To say it and present it with love, the Vilna Gaon says, when a criticism is presented and one can sense the love, then on the contrary, not only is there no ill feeling, it will enhance the bond. You really care for me. Sometimes we just criticize because we want to get it off our chest. We want to make a statement. We want to feel good about ourselves. And it is totally worthless for the person to whom we are addressing. Greatness is found in those who seek the word of Hashem. And to seek the word of Hashem from those who can present it lovingly. What is expected of us, simple human beings? Where are our great holy prophets today? We don't have them, but we have the words of our sages. We have the very few righteous who exist in this world, who are pure and holy. Our job is to see that we are the seekers. If we truly seek Hashem and open our hearts with love, we can sense the love from the great words of our sages. May Hashem help us that we should be able to truly reach the level of being Mavakshe Hashem, seeking out Hashem, which we see King David is telling us is a prescription for Yismach Lev, to have a happy heart, a happy and content heart. May we be blessed to achieve this happiness and to be content and to continue to seek out the word of Hashem. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay Jewish.